know. But I saw a little bit of that in a lot of the SOTA writing. That SOTA's really opening up now and becoming more involved in I guess the influence or the impact of mental health, okay, to recovery, okay? Full recovery? Is there such a thing as full recovery? And remember I just said to you just a moment ago, the feet, get on their feet, but their feet have changed and the environment has changed. So is there really truly recovery? Okay, I want you to think about that because we're going to come back to it in just a moment. So anyway, this is what we do. I started helping students about 40 years ago. I had a student that just needed $63 lousy to pay for an electric bill. Unfortunately, her partner had left and we were with 3 kids in the car and the bank account and everything was cleaned out. She was in her last semester of nursing school. And unfortunately, if she had not been able to pay her electric and be able to take her test at night, because she had to stay at home, of course, with the kids, she would not have graduated. And that would have been a lot of years wasted, and she knew that. And it caused her a real emotional crisis in addition to the financial crisis. So with that, I looked at my own situation too. Here I was, a student, a veteran, Army veteran, and also had children. And I struggled through community college, and then the transition to the 4-year, and then to the master's program. In fact, I did 2 master's programs, and then on to the PhD. Doing all of that, and still trying to manage the emotional and financial crises that we all face, okay, as we try to get on our feet, okay? Because isn't that why you're here? Isn't that why you go to school? To get on your feet, or to get your life balanced, to be happy, to be successful, right? Okay, you don't just go here for fun. You go to ATSU for fun? Oh, here's a party girl over there. I see her. Okay, you go for fun, right? Okay. No, you're really here for a degree, aren't you? And then you want to go on and you want to do something else with your life. You don't have any disabilities, right? No. Nothing disables you at all in your life. Well, I'm going to come back to you at the end, and I want you to tell me whether or not that's still true for you. Okay? Go ahead. That's fine. Naomi is wonderful here. She's actually going to click for me. I like to click myself, but I think she's got my cues. But anyway, that was the start of White Apple Institute. This is a student that needed this money, and how I could help someone to, that not just the emotional support of saying, hey, I'm really sorry that it's happening to you, but the physical transition of some finance to help her get through, which was so little, $63. You know what I mean? Yeah. Go ahead. So anyway, we are veteran operated, of course, and we have a lot of students and veterans that volunteer for White Apple Institute. The intent is that we look for at-risk, people who are at risk. At risk of what? Well, we go to homeless shelters, we go to job banks, food banks, job fairs, food banks, and we go out into the community to search for these people who are at risk of being not only underserved, but unserved, okay? And they need help. And so, of course, I have this affinity for my fellow veterans, so I do put a priority there. But I work with all people with any type of disability. Now, this is the interesting thing. The concept, the perception that we have of disability, when I asked this beautiful lady here about whether she had a disability, her first reaction, as most people will say, is no, I don't have a disability, okay? So I want you to keep in mind that I think, this is my theory, that everyone has a dis in one or more of their abilities. You like that? Like that? Okay, what did I say? A dis in one or more of their abilities. Now, if there's anybody in here that doesn't have that, please make sure you let me know at the end. We are going to Guinness Book of World Records. Hey, I'm serious. Okay. I want to move along here. I don't want to do too much of a slide presentation, so I'm gonna get into this. I want to talk to you, but I want, more importantly, to listen to you. Okay? You know, this is how we do it. There's a song. This is how we do it. Remember that song? Remember that song? I know you do, especially Party Animal. Okay, so we connect people to resources. So a lot of times, as I've learned through the years when I'm looking at these other community-based agencies, is that there's this dog-eat-dog competition about grants and, you know, these are my clients, my veterans, or whatever. A lot of stuff going on out there. And I said, you know, I don't want to get involved in that part. How about if I just am the one that connects them to you or reconnects people to you, okay? Many times it's more reconnection. Because a lot of times I'll sit with underserved veterans at risk with some form of disability. Could just be stress or dealing with chronic pain. Is that a disability? Yeah, it is a disability, isn't it? Okay. So we connect them, and then, you know, I focus a lot on non-visible too. Okay? How many of you focus on non-visible? I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Who can clarify that for me from an OT perspective? Can you?
Me?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Just anything that's affecting you that a person can't see from the outside.
Say again?
Anything that's affecting you that a person can't see, like from looking at you from the outside.
Right, you can't see it, but sometimes we kind of feel it's there. There's something going on with the person. They maybe speak a little slower, or they have a difference in the way that they communicate. Okay, but usually that non-visible means I really just don't see it. So I'm trying to figure out why you are even filing for disability benefits. Okay, so I found that veterans, we have this, I gotta tell you, it's like a superhero mentality. I'm not kidding, even the women. We go to basic training and we go through this 8 weeks of lot of stuff. And we feel, it feels rough when we're doing it, but then when we finish, it's like we are so strong, okay? I mean, the best body I could ever have. Okay, you have a good body too, but I have a body, girl. They told me my legs look like Tina Turner. Okay, all right. And I love dancing, so you know, I was just really. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because this superhero mentality, I believe, is what hinders us from really getting in touch with why we have so many veterans who are unfortunately dropping out of school, dropping out of work, and dropping out of life. And this is becoming very serious, as you know, because we've got 20, how many in the day? I'm sure somebody knows the statistics. You know the statistics on that, Hannah? Or you know it? 22 a day. That's right. That's what they've estimated. Now, exponentially, you know that if we're talking 22, that there's at least 10 attached to each one of those that have experienced some kind of suicidal ideation. Okay, go ahead, Neil. So, students, interns, and veterans volunteer time. That's what they do. And I love it. I have many students that start with White Apple Institute as interns and continue to stay. One is standing right there, the technical producer, Mr. Byron Johnson, okay? He said, I just don't want to leave. No, you're finished with your degree. No, I want to stick around and help a little bit, you know, and he's just been wonderful with that. And so I appreciate that. And so anybody that wants to really get involved, talk to me a little later and we can talk about that. Go ahead. So we got a problem out here, as I said. Some of the veterans that we deal with lose hope. Well, everybody loses hope every once in a while. College students lose hope. But what makes a person lose hope because of a disability, a disability? What's going on with them? And maybe the answer is that they try so hard after any kind of injury to get back on their feet again that they're always visualizing themselves as well, whole, healthy. Oh yeah, the superhero. That superhero comes back and it's like, wait a minute. I've got some dissonance going on here, okay? You want me to write something that says I am a disabled veteran, okay? But in my mind, I don't see myself as a disabled veteran, okay? And why I don't is because my perception of being disabled is not what I think that I look like, okay? Go ahead. And it's, oh, can you go back just for a minute? There's one thing I forgot to say on there, okay? When we're talking about veterans, you see a little asterisk down there? It says service-connected or not. I really got to pounce on this a little bit because I know I've got some veteran family members and some women veterans in here. Any male veterans? Okay, all right. When we talk about service-connected disability, most people think that veterans, every veteran can go to the VA and get help. But that's not necessarily true, okay? They have to have a disability rating in order to get the services. And they have to be able to prove that their disability is a result of something that happened when they were in combat. So, let me ask you a question. Do you think that I work with wounded warriors? What do you think? You know what wounded warriors are? Okay. Do you know how you qualify for wounded warriors? You have to have a service-connected disability. You have to have been in combat. And it's pretty easy to identify that when your leg is gone and you have proof of black and white documents and everything's fine. But some of the people that we deal with don't have those things. And it becomes a downward spiral because they go and they knock on the doors and people turn them away. And so I call it the emotional downfall. It just starts happening and happening and happening. Every door that they knock on, there'll be one veteran. I'll talk about Brian for just a moment. Wonderful guy, finished a master's degree. Okay, 2 tours in Afghanistan. Got hooked on opiates, painkillers. What happened after that? Anybody? Got an idea? What's happening with the opiate thing today? You know what's happening with it? What's happening?
I don't know a lot about it, but
The opiate.
yeah.
Opiate. What's oxycodone? Yeah.
Well, I don't know a lot about it, but we just talked about how a lot of them are ending up in prisons and.
Well, they start with it. Anybody can pick that up? If they start, some people start with painkillers. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, persons that have been prescribed pain.
Prescribed.
Prescribed,
Yeah.
legally,
Yeah.
prescription medications, opioids, are becoming addicted to these
Yes.
painkillers. And when the addiction progresses, a person tends to seek out more and
Yes.
more. So that this can sometimes end up in a trajectory of seeking more prescription medication, or it can end up with a trajectory of seeking out substances that are cheaper and stronger.
Yes.
And that can be fentanyl, that can be heroin, that can be other substances.
And that's happening a lot. It's happening a lot. Many of the veterans that started on, can I just tell you, I was one of them. I absolutely was on, I got hit by a drunk driver, and it was a 7-year recovery, 5 years in and out of nursing homes and that kind of thing. And I'll tell you, it's very, very difficult to get your head together. And get back on your feet again. Doing something like that happens. You start taking the medications that are prescribed and you think that they're just fine. And then you get to a point where I need them. I need them to survive. I need them not to be in chronic pain. I was real happy when cannabis oil came out. Like I just got to tell you guys. I hope you're all right with that, okay? Because, oh, you are or you're not? Oh, this is cannabis oil, okay. But, you know, it's helped me a lot. really does. And so, you know, you guys might want to look at that and decide if something to research, even from a mental health perspective. Okay. So back to this dissonance, this frustration that you feel when you're writing disabled. And it's not just for veterans, anyone that's like the personalities that we have. When you sit in this classroom, you're a different personality than most people out there. Would you agree? Okay? I mean, you're strong. What do you have to go through every day to get here? Right? A lot? A lot? Sometimes it's real hard? Yeah. You wake up sometimes and it's just hard to even get out of bed. I can tell you that we've got to start addressing this issue with pain medication being prescribed first and then now being withdrawn. My friend that I'm trying to talk to you about today, actually my student Brian, once he got hooked on those prescribed drugs, it was really, really hard for him, and he had 2 kids, and they took him off, almost cold turkey. That's pretty hard. And of course he went to the street, just like you mentioned. Okay? And he got what he needed from the street, and again, that emotional downward spiral started. Okay, the family, the friends, everything. So I guess when we're talking about somebody getting back on their feet, we're not just talking about, well, here's a job and here's a house and right? Okay, there's some other things that we need to look at emotionally and spiritually. What's going on with this person that he lost it? Okay, and he's trying to get back again. Maybe I've lost it. Maybe some of you have lost it at one time, and you're back again, but you're not totally back. You still have some doubts sometimes. So what I want you to understand when you're working with veterans is that because of this superhero concept that we have, you know, girl, I was running 5 miles no sweat. Okay? Can you believe that? Okay? Oh, you couldn't catch me. Okay? And even today, if you get with me in a swimming pool, I'll roll all over you. There's no Marco Polo that can touch me. Okay? All right? So, you know, it's like, I don't know. I think I've been working this theory that I have for quite a long time, that we need to address more than just what an occupational therapist would do to get someone back on their feet again, what an independent living counselor would do, what does a psychiatrist do, what the whole thing put together. And I know you know this because I looked at the advanced ADLs. Okay, so I know you know what you're talking about, but that's the vocabulary. But the actual feeling of knowing that for each and every single person, every patient is so different. But then on top of that, when you're dealing with veterans, you're dealing with, and even police officers, first responders fall into that same kind of psychology, where it's very hard for them to visualize themselves with a disability. So we have to be really conscious of that when we're trying to help people. So what you can do later on, like I said, to get in touch with us, is share your knowledge. We invite educators and employers to come and join us, and they share information, resources about employment opportunities and educational opportunities. They come and meet with us. We do a talk show. It was just a vision I had. I was laying in the hospital bed, actually. I had this vision of, well, what am I going to do now? I had all these plans to go to Africa, China, work with people with disabilities. I'm a disability advocate. Okay? I'm able-bodied. Not anymore. My psychology had to change. Okay? And it does in an instant. And I bet you, I just look at you and I just feel there's some maturity there that is just, you were born wise, weren't you? Okay? You said, I'll be the first to admit, no. But you know, it's like some of us know it, that any day now, something could happen to us. Some people don't, some people do. Most people don't want to acknowledge that at any given time, smash, life changes. I guess you could say, life is full of shit. Okay, I got the F in it. I want to make sure I got the F in it. Okay, all right. So life is full of shift, and if your life is not full of shift, of change, then there's something going on with you. You're not balanced. Okay, but it's the reaction to the shift that matters. Okay, go ahead, change it. Okay, so I think it's real important just to focus for a moment when I talk about what we do with going out and doing a talk show and everything, is that we look for these supposedly at-risk, underserved veterans and other persons with disabilities. And we have to keep a very diverse attitude, don't we? Very diverse. Right, Brian? There's a lot of people that come to us from all kinds of arenas. Now, when you're doing your practice, you have a belief system, you have a culture, okay, right? Okay. So in that culture, your belief system already has you envisioning what disability looks like. So when I say the word disabled to you, what do you see? What do you perceive? Do you perceive someone in a wheelchair always? Because how many of you in here know that most people that are, the disability rate, when we talk about 2/3 of the people in the world, that's true, 2/3 of the people in the world have some type of mental or physical, learning, emotional disability. Where do you see yourself if you were disabled? I mean, and where's the measurement of where that goes? You know what I mean? Am I a little bit disabled? Am I medium disabled? Am I severe disabled? Because I mean, I look at Stephen Hawkins. You know what I'm talking about, Stephen Hawkins? You know what I'm talking about, right? Is he disabled? I know, it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, yeah. Okay, because it really depends on your perception, okay? So I'm not trying to change the word disabled, but what we did is we developed a differently abled network. And that differently abled network is a group of people just like yourselves who have started to help us, help White Apple Institute, to go out in the communities and knock on some doors and say, hi, do you know somebody? Because if we don't do that, and if we don't encourage faith-based organizations to work with us, do you know what that means? Faith-based organizations, are you aware of what that means? It's like the churches that really get into writing grants and they have different programs and that kind of thing. That's a pretty good way of separating them. And it's inclusive of mosques and Catholic churches and everybody. It's an interfaith type of deal. Go ahead and change it, ma'am. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Because now I want you to take a real good look inside of yourself right now, and I want you to see what disables you. What disables you? You have abilities. What stops you? What blocks you? I want you to focus on that for a minute, because when you leave here, I want you to be able to say that when I'm working with a patient, getting them on their feet does not mean that I'm returning them to 100% recovery. It doesn't mean that every time, because I know what I'm doing and I love this OT stuff and I'm just going to go right for it. I know everybody's going to benefit from it. You've got to be open to so many things. How many of you know that? How many of you know that? It's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's cultural. I gotta know your culture. What the heck do I need to know your culture for? I'm just coming here to help you learn how to eat with a spoon. Why do I have to learn the culture? Why should I even be involved in that part? Think about that for a minute. What's my culture? Go ahead, Jim. So, when we talk about perception, we talk about this way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. That's what it is. And I know you all know that. Okay? We encourage people, we have this little cute thing, take a bite of the White Apple Wisdom. That's actually the program that I use. It's a about that thick, of 40 years of work. And what it has in it is basically quotes and different articles that I've written about changing perceptions. Because I think if we begin to start changing our perceptions, not only about our own abilities, but how we perceive other people, I think that will be doing a favor, not only to the career, the field of OT, but actually broadening it out and being able to help people everywhere. I need you guys as guests on the show, okay? We, as you, want to see all students with disabilities, especially those who are veterans. We want to see them recognized as contributing and productive citizens, okay? When I look at OT, you know what confused me myself when I had my OT there, and I'm just going to take a few more minutes to talk about this. I had my occupational therapist come out. We started in the hospital, and then she would come to my house, okay? And at that time, like I told you, I was on those drugs too, so I was like a zombie. And I don't know why I couldn't pick up the fork and eat and cook food anymore or whatever. I can't really explain that. It's just that my life had shifted so much that I just, I kind of lost it emotionally and spiritually. And I didn't want to do anything anymore because I didn't understand what happened to my body and why I couldn't get, again, back on my feet, okay? Go ahead. So, I guess in one way, you can help us. You can help our students and veterans that we go out and we touch their lives and ask them to tell their stories. You can help us by making sure that people focus on what they can do versus what they can't do. Don't you already do that though? Have you worked with patients, any of you? Any of you work with patients? Eager to? Okay. Eager to? Ah, yeah, right. And when you do, that's what you're going to have to think about. You're going to have to think about focusing on what they can do. But what about the can't? You can't ignore the can't, because that can't is what starts the psychological, the emotional downward spiral, is the can't, what I can't do. And people focus on that so much more than what they can do. And so their perception of disability, as the VA quotes, independent living skills are for those who are unemployable, unable to do for themselves. Occupational therapy and independent living are for people that are trying to be differently able. That's what I believe. And we need to enforce with them, every person that we meet, that we work with in the future, that we're here to help them focus on what they can do, but let's not forget to compassionately look at what they can't do, okay, and be aware of that, because it might even be sexual. Oh my God, Dr. Applewhite, why are you talking about that, okay? I mean, but it could be. It could be that that is that area that person is, that can't is there, and that's what stops everything else that you're trying to do with that patient, okay? All right, so let's not forget, you know that, you know we're not gonna forget our veterans. You wanted me to come here and talk to you, and so I just wanted to show you this writing from this unknown man. Prepared to serve, prepared to be wounded, prepared to die. However, when I came home, I was not prepared to be forgotten. And I think that's what's happening when we go out there now, is we're seeing, I think that's what I hear more than anything, is that I'm forgotten, nobody loves me, nobody cares, and you're not gonna send me back to that same agency again, are you? I already went there, that lady was mean to me. No, I'm going to send you back there. But this time, I'm going to go with you. Maybe not physically, maybe I'll get on the phone and I'll call him. And I'll say, we've got to send him back through the system and get his application process. And because he has that stability, that support, sometimes things move smoother. So do you get an idea about what I do? Okay, what we do? Okay. All right, so anyway, that's what I have. Because I'm ready for some questions now. Thank you for your interest, okay? All right, so I've already acknowledged, I've acknowledged, I'm definitely want to acknowledge Naomi, but Melody has, she's in the back there, okay? And Melody has paperwork for you if you're interested in what we do with this differently abled network that I mentioned, okay? So, what do you think about all this stuff that I said? Ooh, a lot of stuff. Getting on your feet, changing your perceptions, what disables me. I didn't know this the presentation was going to be like that. I thought you just go through a PowerPoint, you know, like most people do, and then we leave. Boy, this is getting deep. Questions? Don't matter. We're sitting in my living room. Just imagine you're sitting in my living room having a cup of coffee with me. Okay.
What do you feel is the most difficult thing in your own personal life?
In my own personal life, the most difficult thing is recognizing that it's better if I don't lie to myself. So when I'm hurting, I'm hurting. I take my meds and I get moving. Now, I have a little different philosophy than a lot of people in my position. Because I've already been in disability advocacy for so long, this was like new, and I was sitting on the other side of the desk. Do you know, one of the people that I went to go see, one of the counselors, was one of my students, okay? And here I am on the other side of the desk, and they're working with me. That's hard. I'll tell you another thing. I was in a nursing home, and one of my students came up to me. I was teaching at MCC. And she came up to me and she said, Apple, you know, a lot of people call me Apple. What are you doing here? Who are you here to see? And I'm like, oh my God, I really don't want her to think that I'm here as a patient. Why did I think that? I didn't want her to know that my disability was probably as severe or even more severe than hers. But I had to get over that. And I'm so glad I did. We've lost her now, but without that student coming to me, I wouldn't have understood what Gandhi meant when he said, you find yourself when you're serving others. And I'll tell you guys, when I got on that phone, when I was in that nursing home, they told me, you have a phone on the laptop, you can have a radio show. I said, okay, fine, don't get me busy. Plus my students were calling me and telling me all kinds of things, so now they could call in one line. I only started with 20 students, that was fine. Then it went up to 89,000. And you can check me out, Ask Dr. Applewhite talk show. A lot of good stuff on here about disability perception. Another question. Another question.
Oh, I just wanted to point out, I thought it was really unique how you brought kind of like a different perspective where you were asking what disabled